You cannot tell me the sequence of your wins and losses. You can't decide as and when and how much you make. You get given what you're given based off of the market. You follow the strategy, you execute it, you manage the trade, and what you get will be a side effect of how well you performed with those processes. So going in and even asking that question will do you a disservice. I would like to reframe that question and more so, what can I do and what processes can I follow and things that I need to do to the best of my ability that will give me a percentage as a side effect. And what that will be is what that will be based off of your skill set, your patience and your experience. Hello guys and girls, welcome back to another episode on the Falcon YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing really great and you've had a great week. So back with another Q&A. So it's been a while since we've done these and we get so many questions on a regular basis. It's a really efficient and great way for us to answer those questions, give you the answers and hopefully just give you some clarity on a few different things ranging from mindset to trading, insights into what we do. It's a great way to do it. So excited to get into it as we have some super interesting ones in there, which I'm keen to get into. But starting off with the first one, let's take a look. So a lot of you sent them in through Instagram. So first one, this is just a quick one. What do you provide in your course and not in your YouTube videos? And what is the difference with those? That is drastically different. What we provide here on YouTube doesn't even scratch the surface as to what we provide in the membership. This is just general. Everything that we have in the courses, we have a course from lesson 1 to 10, which is a course if you've never even started Forex before. That's the foundation series. We have so many resources in there, weekly webinars, mentorship, resources, the whole 9 yards. Everything is in there that is going to give you the pathway towards consistency. So if I was to compare the difference, it would be so vast. So what we provide here on YouTube is not the strategy. You're not going to learn the strategy for YouTube. You might learn tiny little insights as to what kind of patterns and structures that we follow, but there is so much more to that, guys and girls. You would to do yourself a disservice if you're thinking about joining us. There is so much more to give you that structure from start to finish. So if that was what you was thinking about, then just feel free to join us, but join us at the right time when you feel ready and that you resonate with how we do things. So that's the first question. Let's get into the next one. So next question, guys and girls, is I think there's no source of income that provides a return on investment like trading, so why not only invest in it? It's a good question. This is where you can't always match everything with everything. So just because you get a decent return in one thing doesn't mean that now all of your money should be in that because of risk. It doesn't mean diversify and have 17 different things, because I don't believe in that. I believe in just a set few things that you know, and a lot of people that actually create a lot of wealth don't have 20 different things. They may have 3 to 5 sources of income in similar sort of industries as well that complement each other. But that's a YouTube for another lesson. But essentially, the reason as to why is that you have different things that serve a different purpose. So you might have income that's invested where you've basically bought the income. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you've invested in a property, you might buy a supermarket that provides you a certain yield, and then you get that income because you want that money invested. It's not going to match your trading income, but it doesn't mean that you should have that because, if something happened and you was in a situation where you couldn't trade, then what? You've not got money. You're not making money until your money's making you money, essentially. So you really need to have those things in place as well. So I wouldn't go down the road of comparing, because then you'll think, well, if I can make 58% a month on this, or if I can make 400% a year on trading, why would I invest anywhere else? It sounds good in theory, but the actual practical side of it is not really absolute. So I would drastically consider the bigger picture. Investors are not just investing in things for money. People invest for lots of different reasons. So this next question, this is an interesting question because we get this sent in very different ways. So what is your ideal monthly growth percentage? See, there is no answer for this because there is no ideal, but what I'm more interested in covering is the psychology of where that question comes from. Now, the other questions are things like, what should I be aiming for? How much money should I be focusing on per day? It really comes from the percentage. It comes from the focus of how much percentage can I make? How much profit can I make? And you're focusing on the money and just that alone. And that pushes it further away. And you might think it's a sensible question because you're thinking from the outside maybe of oh, what's an ideal sort of percentage that I could focus on? The market doesn't work like that. You can't decide that you're going to extract 4% a month and that's what I should focus on. It doesn't operate like that. You can't pick and choose. Otherwise, we would say, right, let's just focus on making £100 a day. And once you get good at that, focus on making £200 a day, then £300 a day, then five, and et cetera, and just scale up and scale up. And you might think, well, that sounds sensible to do, but you cannot tell me the sequence of your wins and losses. You can't decide as and when and how much you make. You get given what you're given based off of the market. You follow the strategy, you execute it, you manage the trade, and what you get will be a side effect of how well you performed with those processes. So going in and even asking that question will do you a disservice. I would like to reframe that question and more so, what can I do and what processes can I follow and things that I need to do to the best of my ability that will give me a percentage as a side effect. And what that will be is what that will be based off of your skill set, your patience and your experience. So that's what I would more so focus on. So this next question, this is an interesting one. The most important success rule you have and what advice that you would give to a beginner trader. So success rule, give more than you can take. So from a perspective of always focus on what you can give rather than what you want to take. So success rule, if we're going to go trading specific and kind of in life in general, is that most people coming in to the mindset of how much can I take? How much money can I make? How much can I take? Is always take without any real give. See, what really cemented it for me and the success rule that I follow is, what can I give? How much more time can I give? What can I give to this that's going to then give me a reward as a side effect? What can I give? And when you focus in that mindset of abundance, of give, you will reap the rewards in abundance as a side effect of that. So that's my success rule. You can apply this to life. You can apply this to trading if you're a beginner. How much time can you give to your craft? And your rewards will come as a side effect. So focus on what you can give rather than what you want to take. So next question, this is a good one. At what point in your trading journey could you try to get funded? Well, firstly, most people are wanting to get funded when they don't even have the right mindset or mentality straight away. And it goes back to the same thing. If you can't do it on £1,000, you probably can't do it on 100. So it's just about going back to, there isn't a particular right time that someone could say, right now you can go get funded. It could be after 3 months of results, it could be after 6 months of results. So it's really personal preference. But if I was to give my opinion on it, I would say you really want at least a solid 6 months of data under your belt of consistency before getting any capital. Because if you had 1 month of results or 2 months of results, you could easily go into some drawdown. Quite easily, it happens a lot. And then what happens? You're not mentally tough enough to be able to deal with the drawdown. So it's this need for wanting to just have more money quickly because you want to trade it, you want to make more money. I get it, you're getting into trading for money. It makes sense. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be funded. There's loads of ways that you can get funded as well in third party and everything like that. We've had lots of people in our community that are funded in different ways. But essentially you want to ask yourself the question, if you can't do it on a small account and you only have 1 month's results, what makes you think you're going to be able to do it for the long term on larger amount of capital? Make sure that you have the right mindset and that you do not rush this process. Getting funded should be the last part. You shouldn't be wanting to push that. You want to see actually how good you are first and everything that actually gives you the results as a side effect first. So next question, what advice can you give to someone who's working a full-time and wants to be a full-time trader? Do what you can with what you've got. So what I mean by this is that there's many people in your position. I've been there, our coaches have been there. Lots of people that have broken through were once working part-time or full-time. And essentially you've got to make do with what you've got. So whatever job that you're working at right now, it's going to be different to somebody else, different time zones, different countries, different industries. So you've just got to make do with what you've got. Some people work 14-hour shifts and they can barely ever check their phone. They still make it work. Some people can check the charts all day long while they're working. They still make it work and they study as well. So the biggest thing is that there's not a particular tip that I can give you apart from make sure that your morning routine is on point and make sure that your evening routine is on point. But the biggest thing that you want to drum into your mindset is make do with what you've got. Don't complain, don't compare. Just realize you have been dealt this situation, you're in the job that you're in. What can you do to get the most out of it? If you have that thought process, things will go much more smoothly for you. So moving on to our last question, this is my favorite question actually. It's actually from one of our students, an incredible person. So I really thank you for sending in the question. And so bear with me. So hi Mark, I wanted to send you in the question. As you know, we have an accountability group And quite a few of us are temporarily distracted from working hard on our trading goals because of different reasons. Some are moving flats, others renovating, cleaning, or have financial difficulties with student loans and have to work 24/7. In other words, how do you tackle these short periods in life when you're severely distracted from learning and following your normal trading routine? How do you not fall off the wagon, and how to combine those distractions and circumstances with professional progression? So shall we simply set less goals? Are there some goals that you have recommended as vital in those periods? Maybe you have a tweak for us, because I know you've been through a lot of certainty in those moments in your trading career. Thank you. Well, again, I think this is an incredible question, and I think this is really important to tackle, because there's so many things in here that people are going through that we need to realize. So essentially, the bigger thing is, like, when you're distracted, how do you deal with those moments? When you don't feel like you're progressing, what do you do in those situations of when you're falling off? And a similar question actually got sent in, which is, sometimes I do well for 5-6 days and then I fall off the wagon. Well, this happens a lot, and this has happened in my life in many areas, and even when I've been successful and going through success. So I've had it before I was successful, and I've had it when I am successful. And the truth is, it really comes from, my opinion, is the expectation and acceptance of how life works. I fully accept when there's moments and periods in my life that things may not go to the best of my ability. So for example, if I'm a lot busier in business and other areas, I know somewhere's got to give, and sometimes I take a sacrifice that I might miss a few positions in trading, and I just accept that. If I didn't accept that, I would then look at it at the end of the month and be really frustrated with myself, and that's a downward spiral. So the root of how you deal with this, and this can apply to every part of the question, is your expectation that life is going to hit you whether you like it or not. And in so many different areas, and sometimes when you least expect it, of things that you can't even explain, or we shouldn't have to even be dealing with, but it happens, whether it's loans, whether it's trauma, family, all these kind of things made redundant, lots of different areas in our life. And I think when you have the expectation that life should be good or life should be smooth, that puts us at a disadvantage, but you want to put yourself as an advantage. Now, I know for a lot of us, especially people in our community, we understand that things are not always going to go smooth. So we're kind of already over that mindset. But what do we do when we're working towards our goals, but we are quite distracted and we're not being held accountable as what we'd like? Well, we have to have a little bit of leeway there and realize that if something's going on where you're going to be moving house for the next 5 weeks, well, then you really just have to accept that it's just 5 weeks. So the way I like to look at it as, will those 5 weeks matter in 5-6 years to come? Probably not. Will that 2-week period where you've got to now focus really heavily on some exams that you might have to take, and then you've not been showing up to a few calls, or you've not been watching content, you've not been following the process that you know you need to do, because your mind works better when you're fully focused on something and you need to pass those exams? Fine. It's more so from the acceptance of, that's not going to be detrimental towards your trading career. Would it be more advisable for you to still implement a bit of momentum and still keeping on it? Yes, of course. But it's all about you as an individual. It's not going to change the bigger goal, is what I'm talking about. And what I find is people get very, very disheartened when these periods happen. They happen in my life all the time. But I have the acceptance that I just get it. I know things are not always going to go smoothly. I accept that. And if things don't, I'm not super hard on myself all the time thinking, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Or, let's say, for example, if my fitness isn't as good as what I'd like it to be, or my daily routine or my evening routine is not as optimized as what it normally is, I don't then go and beat myself up about it. I just understand that I'm human, I have emotions. Sometimes things can get the best of us, they can get on top of us, but it's not about me looking at that and thinking, oh, this is the big problem. It's more so just recognizing it, being self-aware, and understanding that whatever is happening in my life right now, it's temporary. It's not permanent. So don't make it permanent with the emotion and the mindset. Keep it as temporary in your mind and realize that you can overcome this, and it's only going to last maybe a couple of weeks. As long as you've got in your mindset that, right, I need to deal with this right now, and then I'm fully on it rather than just an excuse, that's a different thing. If someone's regularly not showing up, or if someone's constantly making excuses, that's a different mindset. But I would think it's a fine line between, if there's actually a real situation where you're moving house and you've got so many things on, you're not going to be as focused as possible. If that takes 3 weeks away of your time, is what it is. It's not going to change the end goal. So I found in my life personally that when I've looked at that, and I'm always looking at the bigger picture, it doesn't matter how busy it gets, no matter what happens to me, I always say to myself, this is temporary. Pain is temporary, but it will be permanent if I let it be permanent. But it won't if I just accept it, embrace it, and then realize moving forward, it's not going to matter in the big scheme of things because my mind is focused on the bigger vision, the bigger goal. So that's what's helped me. Hope that gives you a bit of clarity. And for all of you listening out there, if you find yourself falling off the wagon, just get straight back on. And the way you do that is by getting around the right people. If you're surrounded by like-minded people around you, they will pull you up on it. They will be there to help you. It's not about being called out all the time because you're not doing what you need to do. It's about having the right people around that trust you and that you trust them to say, listen, you're not operating the way that you know you need to achieve your goals. How can I help you? What's going on in your life? Have more compassion and more empathy because we never know what someone's going through at the end of the day, myself included. So it's just about realizing we're humans and we need to lift each other. In a time like this, guys and girls, we need to be lifting each other more than ever before. You know, this industry as a whole can sometimes be a little bit dark, you know, when it comes to trading and things like that. But you got to understand, we're all on the same mission, on the same goals. We want to achieve stuff. And it's important in this world. What we can control is how we speak to each other, our manners, what we do. So if we have the opportunity to lift people up and push people, then we should. And that's exactly what I do, is how I live my life. And I hope that that rubs off on you. I hope you coming to this channel on a regular basis, that it rubs off on you and it pushes you to new heights. Guys and girls, hope you enjoyed this Q&A. We're going to be doing more of these in the future, and let me know if there's any other questions that you'd like to cover. Drop them in the comments. And as always, really appreciate the love and support. Have an incredible weekend ahead, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care, everyone.